Jerry Caldwell. I'm 72 years old. August 20.
Where were you born and raised?
Magnolia.
How old were you when you became aware that race was an issue?
I was 6 years old.
And what was that experience like?
Well, my mom, she worked in a cotton field, and they had to take the siblings, the children, to work with them, and that's when I first saw that my mom and other minorities, blacks only, was chopping and picking cotton. And I never did see any other nationalities doing it. Now that I'm older and gone through life, I'm understanding how to have dialogue about it now. I didn't understand why it was only blacks working, why that there had to be a white person giving out orders and shouting at my mom and others, telling them to get down that row and pick and chop that cotton. I didn't understand it then, but I understand now that it was where they wanted black people to be. I witnessed the cotton picking, but at 6 years old, 7, I mostly was walking along the roads with my mom and just pulling cotton, but I wouldn't consider I was old enough to do it like they were. I was involved in Jim Crow all of my life due to my date of birth, because all that went on up until I graduated from high school, and even when I went to college, and even through my job here in Oklahoma City for 35 years. I first came in real serious with Jim Crow's law was in the 60s. We had to walk to school and in the cold. And while we were walking, white kids were riding by on a bus, doing the finger sign and calling us that word, the N word. Throwing rocks, even at that time, out of the bus window. I didn't understand why. All I knew is that it was happening. As a child, I was quite an athlete on the basketball team, football, track, and all of that. And when we integrated in 1968, we came from Columbia High School and went to Magnolia High School. Being an athlete, I made all the teams. And when the time came for us to go and travel out of town on the bus, we were not allowed to eat at the restaurant with the rest of the white team. They gave us a sack lunch, and we had to eat that on the bus while the other team went in and ate at the restaurant. About 10, 11 years after the Little Rock 9, and even the Little Rock 9 went through what they went through. I was about 6 years old. 10 years, 11 years, for us to even get to where they were already at. They still didn't get nothing done. Even after the Little Rock 9 went through all that they went through, there was still stalling. Embarrassment of being called that word, even in 1968. As an athlete, I got a few advantages that some of the other kids didn't get. You know, I got a few advantages, but that was only because they wanted my talent. to the point where some of the white kids would befriend me. And we started dialoguing and talking to each other, and we became good friends. So in the midst of all of the other wrongdoing, I would call it, my life got affected in a positive way. Not, it wasn't all negative. I became in church involved. Began to read the Bible and Genesis on up and hit it here and there and missing there, but I found out that in my faith and in my belief, God showed me through the power of the Holy Spirit that we are all His children. Is the Father, He's Alpha, He's Omega, He's the beginning, He's the ending, He's the Father of every one of us, no matter what shade or color. Martin Luther King once said, just because we are brothers, that doesn't mean that some of us won't go astray, regardless to what our shade or color are. And I tell you what was even more hurting, when I graduated from Magnolia High School, came to Oklahoma City in 1971, and found that Clara Luper, Dr. Dowles, Dr. Thompson, all of them was still going through the same thing in Oklahoma that I had thought that I had been delivered from Arkansas. To the young people, especially today, be not deceived. Be not deceived with all the joy and the fun and all the luxuries that you have now, because it can be taken away. Reason it can be taken away is because we are not yet treated as equal. We are not yet given the opportunity to uphold positions in office like we should have. Be very careful about how you choose your friends, your peer groups, because we're living in some dark days. We're living in some days where our own culture don't know our own history. We don't actually know or understand what this struggle is all about. And the struggle is not over. You just look on the news. We don't have Dr. Martin Luther King here anymore. We have his legacy. But we need you young people to step up. We need you all to take toll of the rope now and keep this wagon pulling, because we are getting older, we're getting slower in our movement, we're getting slow in our mental thinking. We might as well face it. And we are asking you young people to step up, study your history, learn where your heritage and where you really come from. If you're old enough, register, vote. That God is a good God. He's been with us through thick and thin. All of our lives, God has kept us through racial abuse and discrimination. He's given us, maybe not all we wanted, but He's always given us what we needed.